Yeah, this is Zach from Modern Era, and you're listening to As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. One of my favorite things in the whole world is discovering an amazing new album or band and getting to share it with people. And this week, I'm so stoked to introduce Zak Pinchin from Modern Era. Modern Era released Victim of a Modern Age back in January on Rude Records, and it's one of my favorite releases of 2022. If you're a fan of Nine Inch Nails, M83, or Thrice to name a few, you'll dig this record. The record has a very cinematic feel, but it's rooted in electronic music and post-hardcore. The band is currently on tour through the UK with Trash Boat. Zak talks about how growing up in a rural part of the UK pushed his creativity, pushing musical boundaries and not limiting himself, and the themes and hopes for Victim of a Modern Age. I hope you love the clips you hear in this episode and give the whole record a spin. Links are in the show notes. And I hope you enjoyed this week's chat with Zak Pinchin from Modern Era. I'll admit, like, Becky sent me the singles, so like the videos when they came out last year at some point. But I listened to the record for the first time this morning.
Awesome. Okay.
And holy shit, it's fucking amazing. Like,
thanks, man.
I was blown away. I was like, I love the singles, but like when you hear it in context, it's like, it's phenomenal. It's great. So
I kind of like, as like one of the creators of it, I just like. And always, and me, and how I view albums as well, it's kind of like the best albums are the ones that are, great songs. But if you listen to it front to back, you get this extra something of storytelling or context and stuff, or vibe, like whatever it is. But so like our intention going in was to make it so essentially you had something that you should sit down and listen to front to back, because it's going to take you on a different journey and give you that extra something than just listening to, like, I don't know, a song on a playlist kind of thing. Just trying to bring it back to the old LP days, bringing out the lyric sheet and kind of like sitting there with the record. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I really gotten into cassettes again, and it's like one of those things is like, you could just pop out that little lyric sheet and read along, and like the 100%. Nostalgia of like holding something while you listen to it. And
that's the best thing, man.
Maybe as I head into my 40s, I'm just like wanting to relive teenage years.
Sure, yeah. I get that. Yeah.
But yeah, well, the funny thing is, I was like looking at your bio on Rude Records and all the like commentary on the record, and I just listened to it on Spotify. And so like the song's going and I'm like, oh, I love the flow of this. And then an ad comes in and interrupts it. I'm like, fuck, it totally goes against the whole vibe of what you're going for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you still liked it with ads going on.
Yeah. It takes a little bit away from the general flow, but overall, like the vibe was phenomenal.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Where are you currently located over in the UK?
We're like, me and Cal are based around. Well, actually, all three of us are based around Peterborough, which is like 2 hours north of London, but it's kind of a really small city for the UK. There's not really much going on here, so but it's a good connection point to the rest of the UK because it's like it's like straight in the middle. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is that where you grew up?
yeah, I grew up quite a bit wrapped around here, for the most part, anyway. Yeah, it's just always been, I guess, and you know what, I kind of happy in a way that growing up in a place where there's not too much going on, it kind of pushes you to do, like, you have to make something to have some like interesting time. Me and Kel growing up didn't really have like a super amount of money or anything. We weren't really into games consoles / couldn't afford them, so it was kind of like, and that was kind of just starting. PS2 was like the thing when we were growing up, so it was just like, I love the idea that you had to like force yourself or imagine something up to make it something fun in this shithole of a place. So yeah, it's kind of, it helps me out for what I want to do now. So I'll take it now. Yeah,
that's cool. Did that drive you into music? What was your relationship with music like?
So yeah, me and Cal both been brought up, obviously, because we're twins. It's like we've had almost the exact same life, especially at the start of your life. You kind of have the same experiences, and we were like brought up around like motocross and skate scenes. My dad was like a writer for a motocross magazine, so
nice.
It was like AFI, Bad Religion, like those kind of like fast, old school punk stuff. It was kind of like what would sit in my brain when I'm like getting inspired by all these racers doing their thing or something. And then obviously skate music and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater playlist,
right? Yeah,
that kind of genre of stuff. And then obviously got introduced to like rock music and like started falling in love with like the idea of maybe we could actually make something, and then it just kind of goes from there. Yeah, man. Always wrote music with Cal though. Like that's the one thing we've done for like our entire life. So I'm glad it's finally like we've got an album out. It's like it's only taken, I don't know, 20 odd years to make it happen, but it's finally here. So
that's awesome. That's awesome that you had that such close connection where you both wanted to do the same thing, and you were like, "Let's be in a band," and he was like, "No."
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. At least I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, he always wanted to be a guitarist, and well, he always wanted to start out being a guitarist. He's much more into like electronics now, but I think it probably was my shyness at the young age. Like I'd always fall in love with the iconography of a singer, and then I'd be like, but I'm going to play bass. And I'm like, why do you want to play bass, Zach? And it's like, why do you want to play drums, Zach? And it's just kind of like, and it just took me until I was like 17 to realize that I wanted to probably do, the vocalist thing, have the vision, have the voice, So it's just kind of mental how long it took for me to realize that.
Yeah. Was there some like incident that inspired you where you're like, I'm tired of not being the
it's not, yeah, kind of, but it was kind of like a bit of a different way. Like in my head, the way I saw it was I was kind of in and out of bands with Kel, like for obviously whole like teenage years and stuff, but I wasn't really, I was like there because I was just part of it kind of thing. But what happened with like Modern Era and like I'm a filmmaker as well, it's like my job is like music video directing. So from when I was like 17, 18, I was doing fine art at school and stuff, and it was this whole, and it's such an easy thing, but it was like the idea of how artists motivate their paintings from an emotion. And it was just this like, I was doing it and it was like this bombshell moment that I could apply this to any medium I wanted. And I know it's so ridiculous that because it's so obvious, but it was like I was doing it and I was like, well, if I just took this feeling to this thing, I could, do that. So it was kind of like that bombshell moment. And then I was like, I can explore all these different mediums and get involved differently. That, and then lyric writing, I was really into a band called Dead Swans. It was like a punk band from Brighton in UK, and those lyrics spoke to me more than anything. So that was around the same time as well. So it all just started like molding into one, and now it is what it is. I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome. When you were in like your teenage years and starting in bands, what was like the music scene like locally? Was there something there for you guys to connect with? And go to shows, be a part of, or was it just like a struggle?
Peterborough has always been a struggle to me. It's always had like the odd good show. That's essentially it. It's kind of dead now. Like there was 2 venues and now there's only 1, and because of COVID and everything, it's just gone even worse. But yeah, we used to be able to get to shows and stuff, and we definitely started like playing music in Peterborough and that. But I loved the scene when we started playing because it was only MySpace. It wasn't Facebook. And to me, the connectivity of Facebook has kind of like formalized people's approaches to start a band. So it's like here's, I don't know, let's take like metalcore. It's like, this is what metalcore sounds like now. And it's like, there's no like, there was just seemed to be much more unique spin-offs of like types of genre because you couldn't see it, what everyone was doing. It took a lot longer to find bands on MySpace and there wasn't as much talk about it. So I loved it because it was like, when we started playing shows around, you'd see like these different tangents of the same, you know, the same one inspiration, but they've got these other inspirations. And this like London's doing something different to Manchester or whatever. And it was just kind of cool.
Yeah.
I liked that. We were in a band, but we started writing our next thing with the old band, and I think what happened was me and Cal we'd finished it, and we were listening to something, I can't remember what record. We listened to a record. We listened to a record, he turned around to me in the car and was like, I don't know, should I say that? He was like, why isn't our record this good? Like kind of thing. And I was like, it wasn't that statement. It was just kind of, but it was a lot like, oh yeah, why are we basing ourselves to these conventions of this subgenre of subgenres when we could do actually whatever the fuck we wanted? And it kind of goes back to the Facebook thing where it's like, you kind of fall into this trap now where you feel like that's what bands should do because one of them has done quite well. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we definitely just felt like we weren't actually doing the thing we wanted to do creatively. I had started filmmaking, so we wanted to bring in like the visual world like a lot more dominantly and a lot more trying to make everything cohesive. And we wanted to just explore anything we wanted to do genre wise, and we felt limited to like a 5-piece band then, I guess. And then our EP with Modern Era is just us kind of falling into what is now Victim in Modern Age, just trying to fucking find our identity and kind of find a voice that feels more like us and the message that feels more like us, rather than, I don't know, starting out and writing something that felt like something you should be writing. So I hope that makes sense. That was quite a big word jumble. So yeah. Is that kind of where that sound comes from? Just trying to explore and find new sounds and not being limited by any. It's like there are pop elements and rock elements. It's cinematic. It's synth pop. It's metalcore. It's punk rock, all combined to create something that is just like masterful from start to finish. Okay. There's like a couple that is one of the reasons. It was like we've always been interested in like soundscape or like a big atmosphere bands, the grandiose feeling you get listening to certain bands and stuff. And so that was definitely like, we never achieved that with a 5-piece band setup. That kind of just felt, we were playing like a bit more punky music anyway, and we just felt a bit unsatisfied with it, because we always felt like we were pushing back down into that genre rather than just elevating what was naturally coming. And then with the album, we wanted to write it from concept first to, you know, to like seeing where a trajectory of emotion or something lies, and then kind of build sounds around that, and not be confined to genre whilst doing that, be more confined to a storytelling element.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like losing yourself in that, forgetting what an album, I don't know, conventionally should be in terms of genre, and just let it happen to, you know, and motivate it from, you know, parts of the story, as it were, and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of, it was a big experiment, and it definitely was like, it took quite a while because we were finding our feet with how to actually do that. Because you can't go in. It was like the same with when we went to the studio, and we ended up sacking all of the studio files off and starting again, because it was like we went in thinking we were this 5-piece band, like writing this record. It's like, or like the process should be the same as how, you know, just a band enters a studio, and it just isn't anymore, especially for side 2 that's like 70 layers of synth. It's just like, you can't do that the same. You kind of like write and record at the same time, because it's direct input a lot of the time and stuff. So you're kind of building it as you write it. It's just totally different process than we imagined. So yeah, lots of things at play of why it ended up the way it did. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's like, this is what the song is about. This is the theme and emotion, and that's going to drive how it sounds, and not this is the sound, and that's going to drive the lyrics. Yeah. I love that. Like, it was so fun to do that way. To kind of feel like, right, so at this point, especially that middle part, like I really love how that middle part of the record came out, where it was like curtain call to lull and then into human error and stuff. Is like, feel this big shift of worlds. It was just I love that. I love that so much. So. That's right. Where'd the name of the band come from?
Modern Era. We wanted something, because it was trying to find something that felt like almost like a sign of the times. Like, I love writing about things that, like, just, I know, like all people doing, I guess, it's just like write about, you know, what you're seeing, like hold a mirror up to the world itself and all that stuff. So it's just kind of finding something that felt like it would embody all of our intentions of what we wanted to talk about, whether that be like a personal struggle in modern times, or, you know, the era of the world, which is not meant to be a pun to the song. So yeah, it was kind of just finding something that felt like it said our perception of the world, kind of thing.
How did you guys get connected with Rude Records?
With Rude?
Yeah.
How did that come about? I sounds like, how did that come about now? It's quite a while. It was a while ago when we started talking. And it, obviously, with COVID and stuff, came to fruition a bit later than we planned on that. But I had known some of them for a bit, doing music videos for like bands and stuff. But I think it was just they found the project, and we were looking for someone to kind of help facilitate and push out this record, this next step. And it was kind of like trying to find someone that let us keep our own artistic voice, whilst, I know it's kind of like a generic thing to say, but it was like, it's kind of a thing where it's like, you just speak to labels and see which one fits the best. I guess that sounds right. Like, obviously there's some people interested, and you just kind of have to go with that gut reaction, in my opinion. And they've been obviously great, and they've kind of like definitely left us to do our thing, and then helped us where we needed help most. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Appreciate them of picking us up.
Yeah. How did COVID affect you guys in this record and the whole process? Like, I mean, it affected everybody, but like,
where do I
specifically,
start, yeah. Where do I start? We'd started writing before COVID. The EP came out like March 2019, and we were starting to write with intentions to record. I think it was like April or May 2020, which is fucking nuts. That got shifted like a bunch of months, and then obviously the studio sitch went down where we realized we had to self-produce it eventually. So that took a lot longer as well. So, but that wasn't really COVID. But because of the themes of the album, I found it very interesting. Like for the first side of the record, it's all about this like person's decline, being isolated in a modern world, falling victim to the way the world is, feeling more like being more connected than ever, but feeling not really part of anything. So it was mental to fall into lockdown and feel an element of like more isolation than obviously anyone's ever had in their lifetime, because no one does that kind of thing out of choice. So it was just kind of like nice to actually, it was nice to see how people reacted to it as well. It definitely helped the second half, where it was like a much more self-reflective state. And it was nice to see everyone almost like use this time to reflect on themselves and what they could do different and better and stuff. So it was kind of like, it was like almost used as a creative tool in a sense. And then from the album recording, it's just been, you know, you can't play shows, like it just sucks because you can't keep anything, you can't keep connecting with people. You have to, and then you have to put everything that you show an audience is only online now, kind of thing. And it's nice that shows are coming back. It feels much more, you know, how it should be. But yeah, it was a long time, long stressful time. How was it for you? Was it all right?
It was hard. I've children, so it was super hard.
Oh man, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it just sucked. Yeah, self-reflection, time in therapy, dealing with your bullshit, like
for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it was kind of difficult to write as well. I was living away from Kel at the start of lockdown as well, and trying to like adapt to make something that was kind of crazy as well. Like, not to get too spiritual, but I feel like you have an energy in a room when you're next to someone and you're like bouncing off each other, and then to do that through a screen was just like, you kind of lose that a bit, or you have to kind of figure out how to do it again. It's kind of relearning to walk kind of thing. So cool learning experience. It's kind of nice to adapt in weird ways and like get pushed into ways that you have to make something. So, and if it benefited the record in any way, I'm slightly thankful for it.
Yeah. How's the reopening process been like, and the return to whatever counts as regular life over there?
Like the UK.
Yeah.
Mate, it's been a lot of back and forth. Like, it's been a lot of up and downs. Like, it opened up. Like, the thing is, it opened up, and we managed to get in the studio to record that session that we never used. Like, I think it was like August, September that year, and then it closed up again, and then it opened again, and then like a couple shows happened and got closed up. It's just been, it's just been long, man. Like, it's like kind of confusing. You don't know what's going on. But it feels like, even though I've said this on interviews before and to friends and family, like, I feel like we're at the end of it now. But let's see what happens. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. You've mentioned some of the themes. I don't know if you want to deep dive a little more, like kind of what your thought process was in this story you're trying to tell on this record.
Deep dive a bit. I kind of like, I always toy with the idea that it should be left unsaid, and I know it's very generic to say in a sense that people don't know what they're talking about or something, but it's more like I like wrote it with the way to give it that evocative feel, to kind of like make people take that, the questions I might ask in the second half, for example, in the way that they want to ask themselves it, kind of thing. But saying that, the record follows, to me, a character through his decline, falling victim to a modern age, and then entering a world where he's away from the earth, reflecting on his place in it and realizing his like purpose and becoming one with himself, kind of thing. So it's kind of, to me, lyrically, it's like a road to like an enlightenment, as it were. But there's lots of reflections to the world and kind of me asking why it is this way, and kind of being a bit like existentialist about it, as it were, if that's a word. But does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. As a person who essentially quit social media at the end of last year, and it's At first,
Yeah.
I was like, well, now I don't know anything that's happening. But it's kind of nice. It's like all the comic books I can read or records you can listen to where you're not like doom scrolling Twitter all day or whatever.
That's how it should be, isn't it? So
Yeah. It's rad. Awesome. You mentioned live shows as like a 3-piece. What's your plan for, you've built such a synth heavy record?
Mhm.
Like, is it a lot of tracks, backing tracks that are going to accompany you when you finally get to play live, or
I mean,
have you tested it out? You know what you're
we've
doing?
tested it out. We've done a few approaches, and I think it's kind of dependent on the tour size. I know that sounds a bit like, oh, it can go anywhere, but it's dependent on like what we can get away with which venue and stuff. We did a tour with Loathe like in December, and we've got Simps on stage and stuff, and we had Aurelian back, our old bassist, who has left now but came back for the tour. So it definitely felt like we were adding instruments in, and it was cool. There obviously still is track elements because there's a lot of players, and for a band our scale, can't really achieve that right now. So it's kind of like just go with what we can achieve, I guess, and try and build it as a best experience as we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you just put this record out. It's fresh. Do you have a tour lined up, or you just like
we do?
To see how things go?
We announce it on Friday, so it's in March, and it's in the UK. It's like 17 days, I think, but I don't know if I can say who the band is with and stuff. I don't know the legality on it.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a support tour with a cool band, 17 days, which should be really cool. And it'll be nice to play some of these tracks that weren't released in December that we can kind of bring out now and see how they, do live and see how we feel when we play them and stuff. I think the main thing is just listen to the album Victim of Modern Age front to back and don't have anything else on. Literally just sit with it and see how you feel and what you think of it and what it says to you. Because that's kind of why I wanted to write it, was kind of like, I don't know, make people think for themselves a little bit. Make them question things, hopefully, or even if you're like a musician and you're questioning how you write a song. I don't know. It's like anything that just adds an element of progression in someone else's life is kind of a cool thing, I think. Especially when the things about that enlightenment element be cool if it was helping, helping others or facilitating others to achieve something.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never thought